Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand spanking new episode of American Jew, the finest Jew cast there is in all of the interwebs. I'm with my co-host, as always, the one and only Jordon Ferber.
That's me. I'm over here with my co-host, the one and only Jonathan Randall.
That's right, one and only, despite there being other Jonathan Randalls playing football or rapists on television shows.
Well, you know, those soap operas, they really have to...
The Guiding Light and some show Outlander that has a character named Jonathan Randall who's a real bastard, apparently. I haven't watched the show, but apparently this guy's horrible.
Right. Well, listen, I mean, everybody wants to be famous, but not for that.
Right? Definitely not for that.
Not for that.
Not at all for that.
Well, I mean, I feel like, you know, we all have our own soap operas going on.
Oh, shoot. What's going on
Right?
with you?
I'm just saying. I mean, who knows if we have, you know, long-lost brothers or kids we don't know about out there. It could be.
I'm pretty confident I have no kids out there that I don't know about.
I'm just saying there could be plot twists coming. I don't have any specific information to divulge.
Oh, okay, because it sounds like you do. It sounds like you heard something or you know something. Anyways.
I've been spending too much time by myself. That's probably what it is.
Is that what's going on? Why? Why aren't you getting out there, Jordan?
Well, it's not even just that I'm not getting out there. I live alone. I'm by myself a lot of the time. That's all. I feel like I need to get out there more. I gotta get back into the rat race, you know.
Okay, I mean, I don't know about the rat race, but it might be good to get out there into like a scene or something.
Yeah, I need to get back out there into a scene. I feel like, you know, it's hard to sit at home all day by myself being like, I don't know why I can't meet somebody.
Right? You got to get out there. You got to be participating in the world. But anyways, if there are any eligible girls out there, Jewish or non-Jewish, hit Jordan up, slide into his DMs, give him a big hello, shalom, whatever you want.
This show really became a showcase of my single ability.
Hey, I mean,
my singularity.
We're both single, but I was taking the opportunity to try to do a little shit up for you today, right now.
Oh, wow.
I was playing the matchmaker. Call me Tevya. Let's get on a roof.
Thank you.
Anyways, today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Right, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to wish you a happy Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's not really one of those...
No, I don't know about a happy Holocaust Remembrance Day, but just like acknowledging Holocaust Remembrance Day, that, you know, 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust.
Right.
And it was a tragedy. It's crazy. There's a lot of crazies out there that want to say that the Holocaust never happened. It did happen. I myself have been to Auschwitz, a concentration camp. It exists. It's real. It's there. And it was a sad state of affairs what happened during World War II, where, you know, the Jews, once again, throughout history, were persecuted. This was probably one of the most devastating persecutions that the Jewish people have ever faced.
Yep.
And today is a day that internationally we remember and pay our respects to the 6 million Jews who died, and also to the 5 million not Jews who were killed as well, that are often overlooked. A lot of times when people talk about the Holocaust, they want to focus on the Jews, but there were other people that were not Jewish that were also exterminated by the Nazis, and it is a tragedy, that loss of life as well.
Right, and today it's 78 years today. They picked January 27th because it's the anniversary of the when they opened up Auschwitz-Birkenau.
Okay.
When they liberated it, and it's important. It is important that we remember it every year. I mean, you know, we've sort of.
Are you coughing from smoking or getting verklempt right now?
I'm getting verklempt.
Okay, good.
I think it's important, you know, the fact that world leaders go to Auschwitz and pay their respects every year. We got the first gentleman, Doug Emhoff, that's there this year, representing America, and I think it's really important that we continue to remember this stuff. This is the time of year that all these stories about Holocaust survivors come up into the news also, where people want to be able to continue to tell their story, to remember the people that they lost. There are lots of, like, some of them are like upbeat pieces, like people want to share their recipes to continue the eating tradition.
Holocaust recipes?
Yeah, pre-Holocaust recipes.
Okay, all right. Sorry, not trying to make light of the situation. The Holocaust was horrible. Many Jews and many people in the Holocaust, they were starving. They didn't have food. That's why, you know, crack that joke. It's hard for me not to be a little bit of a jokester still. We still pay homage and respect to everybody who lost their lives during the Holocaust.
Right. No, I'm just saying. I think it's one of those things that I think the Jewish calendar has a lot of holidays and remembrance days that are
This is an international day. It's not just like a Jewish day.
Right, I know. But I'm saying...
Because there's a Jewish like Holocaust Memorial Day, but this is a different day.
Correct. There are numerous days. There's the Kristallnacht, right? There's a whole bunch of different days that we pay homage and commemorate. But I think if you look
Yom
at
HaShoah,
even just the regular Jewish holidays, not all of them are things that you wish people a happy day for. Like, there are a number of...
Well, most of the Jewish holidays revolve around our persecution.
Yeah.
Hanukkah, Purim, Passover.
So it makes sense that we would have a day like this that is hard to figure out how you wish somebody a commemorative day for it.
It's true, because we definitely want to spread awareness, especially as, Holocaust survivors, there's less and less of them every year. And, unfortunately, in a couple years, there won't be any more Holocaust survivors. Luckily, there are places like Steven Spielberg's Shoah Foundation, which has, taken records of a lot of their stories, passed on to younger generations. But with, the Holocaust denial that is out there, with the lack of Holocaust awareness that so many people have, when we lose the survivors, it's going to, be even easier for these idiots and these morons to spread their misinformation and their hatred. And, I actually just I think this is a good time to bring up how, they let Nick Fuentes back on social media, and after he spread hate, and immediately he started denying the Holocaust, and he was kicked off again. Immediately. He was put on Twitter after being kicked off for hateful acts, and this is why we can't have these people on it. And as soon as they let him on, he's back at it.
Seriously, I mean, when not only does he not learn, he didn't learn a lesson. Nobody at Twitter learned a lesson. When are we going to learn that these people who were spreading hate, that's all they want to do? Like when Elon Musk took over Twitter, saying that he was taking the gloves off, he wasn't going to censor people. The first thing people did was tweet out the N-word and other bigoted and hateful remarks just to see if they could.
It's crazy,
And that's the sad part, is that there's sometimes some of these people don't even have any real conviction or ideas behind this hatred. They're just putting it out there to see if they're going to be censored.
They're just trolls, also spreading nonsense, trying to aggravate, agitate people, cause harm, and it's really sad. And actually, did you know that there are European Jewish groups are actually suing Twitter right now because of the anti-Semitism? The Brussels-based European Union of Jewish Students and the Berlin-based Hate Aid, what the hell is that? Hate Aid are both nonprofit groups, and just this week on Wednesday, they announced that they are suing Twitter in a Berlin district court for failing to uphold its own pledge to remove hate from the platform, like Holocaust denial.
It's really incredible. I think that we live in a dangerous age, and it's really hard to figure out how to stamp out this stuff. This shit doesn't go away without proper conversation and education. And I think it's really hard to figure out where the lines are that you can have a way to relate to people that have that type of mentality.
I mean, it's really hard to relate to people that have that type of mentality. It's really sad, but that's why I think it's so important for us, and that's why we have Never Forget, which, we should never forget. And not only never forget the Holocaust and the persecution that happened to the Jews, but we gotta, so it won't happen again, but we gotta use that example to make sure that persecution and hatred towards other groups and other races doesn't happen either.
100%.
We have to be, as the Jewish people, we have to, kind of be the captains of that ship to make sure that these things don't happen. That's why, it's so hard for me when I hear people comparing what's happening in Palestine to what happened in the Holocaust, because it's we should know better. You know?
It's funny. I'm just reading this article about this woman, a Jewish nominee for a top U.S. State Department human rights post.
Okay.
Is withdrawing her bid because she doesn't see how she can win it, because there are a number of Republicans who are blocking her appointment because she made comments against the Israeli government. She wants to be part of a human rights post, and they're saying that she's disqualified because she's standing up for fucking human rights.
That's such a problem that we see a lot lately. It happened, with Kenneth Roth when his fellowship got taken away from Harvard. Thankfully, he got it back. But we really need to separate this calling out the Israeli government, which is more extremist, ultra-nationalist than ever and more of a concern. Israelis are protesting daily against it. That isn't anti-Semitism. That isn't hate speech. If anything, it's trying to, make Israel be presented in a better light, the Jews presented in a better light, and stopping people from spreading hatred, whether they're on our side or another side. And that brings me actually to what I wanted to talk about with this week's Jew Need to Know, which is about a Muslim Arab who helped save two families, over 24 people in Tunisia during the Holocaust.
Yeah.
His name was Khalid Abdul Wahab, and he actually acted they call him the Tunisian Schindler. And he acted actually at as a person in between when the Nazis went there and the locals there, and he was kind of an in-between, and he used to get the German soldiers drunk and kind of listen and hear what they were going to say or were going to do. And then one day he overheard them talking about how they were going to rape a Jewish woman. And he went and he gathered up her family and her neighbor's family, and he brought them to a farm, and he fed them, and he kept them there for about 4 months until the Nazis left Tunisia. And I think that's amazing. He was an Arab, he was a Muslim, and he was helping the Jews in the Holocaust. And this is I think a message that needs to be spread, and people need to know.
Yeah.
And I hope this could help bring people together, raise Holocaust awareness for Arab communities, because this guy was an amazing, incredible individual who did awesome things. And we need more like that. We need to be helping each other and bring people together. And I just wanted to show my respect to him today, and I thought everybody should. And what he did, I think, is incredible, and that is something that Jew need to know.
It is. I think there need to be more stories like that coming out. I think there are. I mean, I've been reading about that today as well, as it being Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Right.
There are a number of stories that I read this morning about non-Jews who helped Jews during the Holocaust who want their stories of recovery and rescue to be heard as well.
Right, and
Specifically
they should be heard.
Specifically to showcase the fact that Jews and Muslims and people that were not Jewish helped the Jewish people. That's a big thing.
Absolutely. And kudos to all those people who stepped up. It's easy to talk the talk, but it's harder to walk the walk, and especially in the face of such adversity and such evils and such horrors as the Nazis and the Holocaust. And for these people, many of times, to risk their own lives for Jews is incredible, and that is the definition of a hero, and an amazing person, and definitely a mensch.
Definitely a mensch. And it seems weird that anybody would try to silence those types of voices. Like, oh, we don't want to hear from that guy because he's not Jewish. We only want to, no, we got to raise up all the voices that are stamping out hatred and trying to help their fellow neighbor.
Absolutely.
Which is why I think it's really interesting also. Finally, there are more Americans, and especially American politicians, who are calling out the Israeli government for some of the new policies they're trying to put in place. They're calling out a lot more of the corruption, it seems like. The fact that there's finally some response to the fact that this new Israeli government is basically trying to disenfranchise millions of Jews around the world who are not particularly religious. Changing the law of return thing is a huge deal.
Okay.
I think it is.
So what exactly do they want to change it to now?
What do you mean?
But when they want to change the law of return to not make it so easy for Jewish people to return to Israel. So I'm asking you, I'm not as familiar. You brought it up with what are some of the changes that they're trying to make?
It's a very right-wing, very orthodox sect of the government that's trying to. They want it to be all Israel, Orthodox Jews.
So only Orthodox Jews will have the right to return.
I don't know if that's exactly the terms of it, but they want to make it a lot harder to prove that you are worthy of being, Jewish enough.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's awful. I think horrible. Yeah. Not a big fan of this new government, not a big fan of the Israeli government as a whole. It's really sad.
You have Zelensky, really actively trying to root out corrupt officials in the Ukrainian government, while Netanyahu is trying to create loopholes to get more criminals in.
Yes, absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, I think he had to get rid of one last week, thankfully. But, Itamar Ben-Gvir is still talking about he's still going to go to the Temple Mount whenever he wants, which only causes problems. And even the chief rabbi of Israel says Jews shouldn't go there because we're impure. We talked about this before. But it's just stirring stuff. They want to cause problems. They want, people to... It's almost like he wants to start a war. He wants to start attacks. And that's horrible. It's not helping anybody. And that's, something that I've been thinking about so much. Of course, I make so much content, calling out Israel and its crimes and its atrocities. But I'm not just trying to spread hate on Israel. I'm trying to, raise awareness, have acknowledgement for what we've done to hopefully move forward in the future for peace. And that's what we got to do. And then we got these idiots like Itamar Ben-Gvir and even Netanyahu, which are like getting in the way and talking about expanding settlements and making illegal settlements legal, and who's Jewish enough to come, and it's just it's sad. It's not what we need to move forward in peace, and that's what we need to do. We need to find a way to work together. And yes, horrible things happen in the past, but that doesn't mean we have to bring them into our future.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's it's hard to have these discussions. It's really hard. I mean, just going back to what I was saying before, this woman who wants to be part of this human rights thing. It's sad that she's having a hard time. Sarah Morgan is her name, and she supports divestment from West Bank settlements, saying she can't. And that's the whole thing. Like, she wants Israel to stop continuing to settle more people there.
Yes, we should. I know a lot of people have problems with the BDS movement, but we do need to do some boycotts, especially from any products that are coming from the West Bank. And just with Israel as a whole, being like, America for sure isn't going to continue to give you all these funds if you're just going to continue to, illegally expand settlements and not make more of an effort to try to create goodwill and peace, which obviously isn't happening with this new government.
It's really hard to see, I mean, it's interesting too, looking at, I don't know how quickly we want to get into this week's Parsha, but it's the Passover.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, this week's Parsha is the thrilling conclusion of the Passover story.
I mean, not the thrilling conclusion. There's still a lot more ways to go. I mean, we didn't even get to the parting of the sea yet. But we're getting there. The end of the plagues. It's the end of the plagues.
It's the final of the 3 plagues.
The final 3 plagues happen, which let's see, locusts.
Right, we got locusts.
Darkness,
and then the killing of the firstborn is what does it.
Death of the firstborn.
Killing of the firstborn is what does it.
And then finally, Pharaoh's like, I've had enough. But, of course, it's also really weird because before it was and God was hardening his heart. So, did he have the ability to be let everybody go? Okay, you could go, because no, apparently God was like, I'm going to mess with him a little bit so I can make another plague happen. I didn't get that. Why is he hardening his heart? Why couldn't he just let him be like, oh, maybe he should? But it seemed like Pharaoh, every time after every plague, Pharaoh was like, maybe we should let him go. And then God was like, I'm going to harden his heart so we won't let him go. I don't know what kind of twisted game that is.
I mean, it's a lot of games God plays. But I guess, if he had the locusts.
The games God plays.
If he had the locusts ready to go. If you had all those locusts ready to go, you can't just stop the plagues there. I got all these locusts.
Oh, you think he already set them up? He was like, I'm gonna write all these plagues out. Which one should I do? He's like, listen, I already wrote this joke. I'm gonna try it, even though I know it's gonna be horrible.
I think that sounds right to me.
That's what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so God also, the first mitzvah comes this week, which is for the Jews to make a calendar based on the moon.
Finally.
Woo! That was my wolf howling at the moon.
Right.
My Jew wolf howling at the moon.
You would think that the first mitzvah would be the one where the Jews, where they get let go, where the Pharaoh lets them go.
Well, that would be a mitzvah for Pharaoh, but where are the Jews doing mitzvahs? The Jews got to do a mitzvah. So that was their first mitzvah, was to make the calendar based on the moon.
I was reading another thing about this, about the killing of the firstborn. So the Jews are supposed to put the lamb's blood on their doorknob.
Right, so this is also God also the beginnings of the Passover start happening, because he talks about unleavened bread,
right,
and then the lamb's blood, which first they're going to make the sacrifice, and then I guess the lamb shank, and they eat some bitter herbs,
right. But the first thing, the fact that was the final plague was the killing of the firstborn. So the Jews were supposed to put the blood on their doorknobs to signify to the angel of death that these are Jews.
So they should pass over.
Over those houses. But I was reading a thing God is all powerful and all knowing. Shouldn't he know where the Jews are? Do we really need
It's
to?
true, yes. But what, he wanted them to
But-
kind of make a gesture?
But
or
it's like,
something?
yeah, it's one thing after another with God. He always wants the Jews. It is. He wants the Jews to keep showing their commitment. So by doing it, it's like saying, okay, we're going to not just let God know that this is the Jews here. We're letting everybody know that these are the Jews here.
Oh, okay. It's
And
like,
it's like-
these are the Jews.
it's like
so if you're
yeah.
anti-Semitic, we're making your life easier for you?
I don't know. I think it's like an act of courage and defiance against the Pharaoh and his people. Be like, listen, the angel of death is going to pass over us, even though you know who we are now.
Okay.
It's like it's part of the commitment to God.
Well, it's also kind of like, because Moses was like, he survived because they wanted to kill all the Jewish boys, and now it's like the death of the firstborn. It's a little like quid pro quo God is doing almost,
A little bit. A little
Yeah.
bit.
And then God also, this is where God wants Jews to wear tefillin.
Right.
And this week's thing is where you start wearing tefillin to show your commitment to God.
Right, so
God is very insecure, it seems like.
He is very insecure.
Right? He's like, I need you to worship me. I need you to show your commitment to me. I need you to love me. It's like, I thought you're all knowing and all powerful. I don't know. This is when like some Bible stuff gets weird for me, because another thing also was he talks about this redemption of the firstborn, where like for Jews, where they have to give the Kohen, they have to give like the high priest like 5 silver coins 30 days after the baby's birth. And this is where I'm like, this is where religion is just like coming from, where it's just like getting money from people. Like, I don't understand. So if you have a boy, then you have to go and give money to them. Like, who wrote this? Did God write this, or just some Cohen's like, I gotta get some money. Oh, and then every time you have a firstborn, you gotta give me 5 silver pieces.
Yeah, some of that stuff is a little. I'm sure some of that, the people that wrote that stuff are the ones that added that in there.
But now the Jews they're on their way. That's it. We're leaving Egypt. They had to go fast. They took gold and silver and garments from the Egyptians, which I guess fulfilled the prophecy that God made to Abraham, that they were gonna, leave with riches or go to Israel with the riches. But now begins their long, arduous journey through the desert to get to Mount Sinai, to get the temple, to get the 10 Commandments, and then, onward to Israel, led by Moses and his brother Aaron.
Right. I mean, so they haven't gotten to the sea yet, but they're driven out essentially. They decide they want to get out of there as soon as they can.
Yeah, God's like, let's go quickly. You got the leavened bread, like let's get out of here.
Yeah.
No time for the bread to rise.
Grab those crackers and let's skedaddle.
Right?
I don't know if he would say skedaddle. That's probably the least Jewish way to.
Skedaddle? Yes, it is very Gentile, Jordan.
Vamoose? What would you think would be the most Jewish way to run out of there?
Definitely not Schnell. Maher, Yalla, Yalla. Maher is quick in Hebrew, I think. Fast.
Right.
Like
Well, because I looking at this story and looking at what's going on in the world today, like I feel like this Israeli government is not doing a great job of trying to find ways to bring more Jews to the table. They're finding ways to exclude more Jews from the conversation.
It seems that way because a lot of liberal Jews are very upset with what's going on. It's so funny because I guess, Israel is very much accused all the time, and they are, they're not being very inclusive to the Palestinian people. People say it's an apartheid state, but now their own people they're even trying to cause divisions with you're not being Jewish enough, and it's horrible.
It's difficult to figure out.
We got to be bringing people together. We are cousins. We're all related. Anyways, we're all humans. That's what should matter. We shouldn't be letting these stupid things like religion or nationality or race divide us. We should be looking for reasons to come together, not reasons to separate. That's what I think.
Yeah, we should all find a way to get a lamb and roast it over a fire and
eat it all together.
Eat it all together.
Sounds delicious. And all remember the horrors that happened in the past so we make sure they don't happen again. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of American Jew. I'm Jonathan Randall. Check me out across social media at Jonathan Randall. You can also check out my other PCast, How You Like Me Now.
PCast, I like that. My name is Jordon Ferber. You can follow me across all platforms at Beatnik Nudnik. And you can follow my other podcast, Where's the Grief? And that's going to do it. I don't know. Are we going to skedaddle now? How are we going to leave now?
I think we're just going to leave with a strong smile and remembrance of people who lost their lives for no other reason than being born Jewish.
I might have some pastrami.